Well, as we told you earlier, recently County Farm Bureau presidents from across Georgia made their annual trip to Washington, D.C. to speak with lawmakers about various ag issues.
Yeah, Ray, the key word there being issues, whether it's immigration, the new farm bill, or a recent ruling by the EPA. This year's contingency of Farm Bureau leaders had a lot to get off their chest. Mark Wildman has that story.
The group of County Farm Bureau presidents from across Georgia had a lot of work to do in Washington, D.C. Not only did they have to thank lawmakers for all of the hard work done to get a farm bill passed, but they had to get up to speed on some key current issues as well.
Letting them know, here's what we need you working on. And I smile when I say this, but it's like, those Farm Bureau lobbyists that come, from American or come from Georgia Farm Bureau, they're telling you the truth. This is what we want you to work on.
Farmers are accustomed to tough choices, but Washington moves slow by design, and solutions don't happen quick. One of those issues that seems stuck in the D.C. mud is immigration reform.
They're doing things on a piece by piece. They're not doing that one big bill model. They're looking at each individual issue and moving individual bills. They will be kind of in a package, though, kind of an immigration palooza package. That's the goal, anyway.
Farmers from around the state were given this valuable information so they can encourage their lawmakers to move on the issues. Andrew Walmsley of the American Farm Bureau Federation brought up another hot-button issue with the public and with farmers. That issue is GMO crop labeling.
We are so fortunate in this country that we're affluent enough and we produce food affordably enough that people can dictate how food is grown. And there's markets to meet that. But when we start taking away options and tools that are extremely important for us, not only providing safe and healthy food here, but the challenges to meet the hungry mouths that are going to continue to be born and raised across this world, we've got to have all the options on the table.
Farmers are always having to work to get their voices heard. If they don't get their voices heard, some other groups that want to hinder American agriculture will. EPA is always a concern on farms. The agency, if given enough power, can virtually shut a farm down. Some in Washington fear EPA is trying to bypass Congress with some new rules being drawn up. Those that look out for farmers in Washington feel the new rules are trying to give EPA jurisdiction over every spot of water from mud puddles on up.
This is EPA's efforts to basically take over land planning for the entire country. And I don't know how else to define it. They want to control virtually anything that has to do with the water, as they call it, kind of landscape. If rain falls on it, they feel like they've got jurisdiction over it. And in a number of ways, the permitting process and other things they propose to quote unquote help agriculture basically gives the EPA and the Army Corps of Engineers a veto over what farmers and ranchers decide to do on their farms and ranching operations.
And now we're coming up to a point that it's becoming very critical because they haven't been successful in getting the word out, the navigable word out. So now they're trying to figure out the way to do it without removing that word. And we just think the intent of the law is what the rules ought to be written for, and only that intent of the law.
It is said the political process in Washington, D.C. is intentionally inefficient, but all those involved on this trip wish the issues would move just a little bit faster in regards to the nation's food supply. Reporting from Washington, D.C., I'm Mark Wildman for the Georgia Farm Monitor.